Lions preseason finale is come and gone, and the Lions had another impressive showing against Carolina. Even though most of a good chunk of the starters didn't play in this game, and Carolina played a good chunk of their starters, but the Lions really impressed with their depth. Like, their Lions depth, definitely I wouldn't view it as a concern entering the regular season. Like, a lot of players showed out tonight and impressed against Carolina. Like, it's just going to make this following week tough when the Lions have to cut the roster down from 90 to 53. But, you know, a good chunk of the players should have a shot at making practice squad at least. Like, in terms of some notes for this game, like, in terms of players that played well, like, Teddy Bridgewater played extremely well in this game. Like, hell, that 70-yard touchdown throw in the triple coverage, that was a very good throw by Bridgewater to Anton Green. You know, very good throw. Like, it seems like every week that Teddy Bridgewater's been under Ben Johnson's offensive system, Bridgewater seems to just get better and better under Ben Johnson's system. Anton Green also had an impressive game too, especially that 70-yard touchdown. Chase Lucas had an impact game too. Like, James Houston also proven that he's still a beast. Like, I think if James Houston, if everything goes well, I think Houston could have double-digit sacks this year. Stephen Gilmore, you know, he deserved to make the roster, especially with another outstanding game, especially with him getting that pick six with 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter to seal the win for the Lions. So, yeah, that was a really good job by him. So, yeah, Gilmore 100% deserves to make this roster. In fact, the entire depth secondary played it very well and held their own throughout preseason. You know, just going to be a tough job for Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell to decide who gets to make the roster and who goes home. But I will say this, though. Anton Green, Chase Cota, Dylan, Drummond, all three need to be on this team in some form of capacity, whether it be regular, whether it be the main roster, on offense, or just being a depth piece, or even being on special teams, or even making the practice squad. All three need to be part of this team in some capacity. Corey Duran, he did enough to probably get on the practice squad, along with Nosak, and then Levi Onsarike played also well too. Like, Onsarike proved 100% he deserves to make the main roster as well. Like, I think the one issue I've had with Onsarike so far is the fact that he has been unable to stay healthy so far throughout his career. Like, he's shown flashes, but he just can't stay healthy. That's just been his issue. Now, once again, he showed flashes, but is this the year he finally stays healthy for once? Tune in to find out. But yeah, the Lions just had a very impressive game. Even though they went in the hole early in the game, they were able to claw back in. Like, they scored 20 unanswered points on Carolina once they went down 10-0. And Detroit just held on from there on. But yeah, sorry about that. My cat's just trying to want some attention right now, so I just gotta grab her here. But yeah, okay, go be free. But yeah, anyway though, you know, just a very impressive game from Detroit to wrap up the preseason. You know, very impressive though, even though Nate Sudfeld, he honestly should have been cut after week 1 of preseason, but they wanted to keep him around because of leadership. And now the Lions are probably going to be forced to waive him after he got injured. You could have avoided this situation, you know. All you had to do was just cut him after week 1 when he sucked ass. Now you got to waive him injured and have an excuse to waive him. You know what could have been? But yeah, and of course there's been reports that the Lions are probably looking to activate Hendon Hooker from redshirt at some point in the season. Like, I don't think he gets activated until, like, mid-season. Like, it'll be pretty much until once they feel he's ready to go and he's fully healthy. But yeah, just, you know, very impressive win. The Lions look really solid. Like, the Lions in this game, they proved they are 100% worthy of the hype they've gotten all offseason, and why the Lions deserve to be the favorites to win the NFC North this year. Like I honestly have no real concerns. Like, the only real concern I have is J-Mo. Like, can J-Mo actually live up to his draft hype once he comes back from a 6-game suspension? Now, all I say for J-Mo is, well, even though he got that hamstring injury, here's the one silver lining here. At least he's already out for 6 games anyway. But yeah, anyway, with that all said, it's now time for the regular season next week. And time to turn all your focus and attention to the Thursday night kickoff game against Kansas City. But before we wrap this video up in this short, brief recap up for Week 3 of preseason, I'm going to now reveal my 2023-2024 NFL playoff predictions to see who I think will make it in this year and win the divisions, and who I think make it in on wild cards. So, here are the predictions. So, for the playoff predictions, starting off with the AFC, for the AFC West, I once again have the West going to Kansas City. I would keep an eye on Denver, though. I think Denver's going to be a very improved team this offseason. I think Russell Wilson will have a bounce-back season. And I think Sean Payton's the right coach to turn the Broncos around. I actually have the LA Chargers missing the playoffs. I think the Chargers are going to collapse. And I feel like they're not going to get over that 27-point choke job to the Jaguars in the playoffs last year. Because that 27-point lead that was blown, that's the type of choke job you don't come back from. Don't believe me? Ask the Atlanta Falcons how they're doing after 28-3. Don't believe me? Ask the Houston Texans how they're doing after they blew a 24-point lead to the Chiefs a few years ago in the playoffs. But yeah, I think the Chargers are gonna be terrible this year. I feel bad for Justin Herbert. He deserves so much better than that. And the Raiders are a complete fucking mess. Like Josh McDaniels has been a complete fucking disaster and lost in the Raiders. I don't trust him. I think there's a strong chance that McDaniels could get fired this season. AFC North's gonna be a tough division once again. But once again, I feel like Cincinnati's going to hold on and win that division. Like, I'll be honest, I don't even see either team sweeping each other. I think everyone in that division is probably going to go 3-3 each against each other in the division. Like, everyone's going to split. But I also have, even though I don't have Pittsburgh making the playoffs, I still think they'll have a winning record once again under Mike Tomlin. But yeah, with Cleveland finishing last, though, there's a strong chance, though, if Cleveland doesn't make the playoffs this year, that Kevin Stefanski could get fired from the Browns. The AFC South, well, that's Jacksonville's division to lose. Like, Tennessee is going to be pretty bad, but this probably will be their last year of relevance under Mike Vrabel until the Titans need to blow it up. I mean, Houston, they even added some pieces in the offseason, and I think if Houston, I don't know, depending on what happens with Tennessee, there's a chance, though, Houston, if they fuck around enough, they could make it the second in the division. And in Indianapolis, it's going to be pretty bad because they're just a complete shit show right now, and I think Anthony Richardson is a fucking bust. And in the AFC East, despite the Bills shedding a lot of talent in the offseason due to cap casualties, I still feel like the Bills have enough talent to win the AFC East. Like, if Miami to have a chance at winning the division, Miami needs to have Tua stay healthy, and Tua has not stayed healthy throughout much of his career. If Tua could stay healthy, Miami could 100% steal the division. And I think for New England, I have this being New England's worst season under Bill Belichick this year, just a very brutal division. So yeah, my division winners are Kansas City, Cincinnati, Jacksonville, and Buffalo. Same 4 division winners as last year. And my 3 wild cards, I have Baltimore, Denver, and Miami making it on wild card. Yes, I have the New York Jets missing the playoffs. I'm sorry, I think the Jets are going to be the biggest disappointment this year. Like that team is way too overhyped. I do not think Rodgers is going to move the needle too much. Like, I'm not buying the Rodgers hype. He couldn't get it done in Green Bay. I don't know what makes New York any different. But yeah, I think the Jets are going to be a massive disappointment this year. Now on to the NFC side. For the NFC East, even though we haven't had a repeat division winner in the NFC East since in 20 years, I feel like that trend is about to snap. I feel like that streak will snap. And I think the Philadelphia Eagles, well, the Eagles, they were the last team to win back-to-back NFC East titles 20 years ago in the McNabb-Reed era. And I think the Eagles are going to be, once again, snap their own streak. And they will become the first back-to-back champions in the NFC East since themselves in the mid-2000s. So I think the Eagles will win the NFC East. The Giants, I think the Giants are due for regression. I don't think the Giants are a playoff team, but I think they will at least contend for a spot. And Washington has no fucking quarterback. They're going to be a complete mess here, and I feel bad for Ron Rivera. And I think Dallas has the talent to make the playoffs, but they're so extremely overrated and overhyped. But Dallas will do enough to make it in on a wild card. But yeah, I have Philadelphia winning the East. NFC West, I have San Francisco winning that once again. They're 100% sold in on Brock Purdy being their franchise QB of the future. It's very tough. It's between San Francisco and Seattle, but I feel like the 49ers just have better talent overall over the Seahawks. The LA Rams, I think the Rams are going to bounce back this year. I think they're going to contend for a playoff spot. I think the Rams will be a contender for a playoff spot if they stay healthy and everything. And Arizona, I think Arizona is going to be the worst team in the league this year. Because Kyler Murray is going to be out for nearly the entire year. I'll be honest with Arizona, I think there's a strong chance the Cardinals could go 0-17 this year. Because that's how much they're going to miss Kyler Murray. That's how bad they're going to be. NFC North, this is the first division where I have it being a different team from last year. And the team is Detroit. I am buying the Lions hype. I think the Lions will win their first division title in 30 years. I think the trade streak is finally going to snap. I think this is the year the Lions finally get it done over Minnesota. I think Minnesota is going to be due for regression this year. Because Minnesota, they're not going to get lucky in a bunch of one-score games like they did a year ago. Green Bay, I think Green Bay's really going to feel the effect of not having Aaron Rodgers on that team. I think without Rodgers, the Packers, I think, are going to struggle. And, Chicago, I think Chicago will win a few more games than last year, but that team is way too overhyped. I don't understand why Bears fans think they're all hype, think they're worth the hype. They aren't. And the NFC South is a fucking joke. That division's going to be one of the worst divisions in football. Effectively for that division, it was really between two teams. It was between New Orleans and Carolina. And in the end, I'm going to give the edge to New Orleans. This is a tough one for me because I was back and forth between New Orleans and Carolina. But I'm going to give the edge to Saints. So I think the Saints will win the NFC South, even though they're pretty much having a QB carousel now. But I think the Saints take advantage of a very terrible fucking division and make the playoffs in. Yeah, and I feel like Tampa Bay is going to be the worst team in that division. I'll be honest, I think Todd Bowles is going to be the first head coach to be fired this season. And I think Bowles gets fired after the Bucs game against Detroit. And Atlanta, I think Atlanta is going to be looking for a QB in the draft. Desmond Ridder is not it. He does not look like it. And then for my 4 division winners are Philadelphia, San Francisco, Detroit, and New Orleans. And my 3 wild cards, I have Dallas and Seattle, both making it in on wild card again. And I feel like even though Minnesota is going to have some regression, just because the rest of the conference looks like utter shit, Minnesota will find a way to bullshit their way into the 7th and final wild card spot. But yeah, those are my AFC and NFC playoff predictions. On to the regular season. How right will I be this year? Well, we'll have to tune in at the end of the year to find out. But yeah, I'm out.